Good morning, class. Firstly, I want to say Happy New Month and Happy New Year to you. You're welcome to this Google class. We'll be go on this class for the next 2 weeks before the normal resumption. So I welcome you to this Google class. Now, we are moving to factorization. That's our topic for this week, factorization. So, good day, class. Our topic today is factorization. But before we move to the factorization, we'll first of all have to go back to a little bit of our revision, that is expansion. Now, for example, you have expand c minus 2 c minus 5. Now, if you are asked to expand these two brackets, they are telling you take what is inside the first bracket to multiply what we have in the second bracket. To do that, that means we have to pick each letter or each character in the first bracket to multiply the whole of the second bracket. Now, let's start with the first letter, which is what? C. We'll take C to multiply the whole of the second bracket, which is C minus 5. The second character we have here is what? Minus 2. We'll use the minus 2 to multiply the whole of the second bracket, which is C minus 5. Now, the first thing you need to do is, you will see that there are some characters there that do not have sign in front of them. We call that sign an invisible sign. And that sign is usually plus. Let us fix our signs. So here, we put our plus, we put our plus, we put our plus. Now, we have fixed our signs. So the first thing is when you are multiplying each letter, when you are multiplying the number, the letter or the character outside with what is inside the bracket, you multiply the signs first. Now we have plus here, we have plus here. Plus times plus will give us what? Plus. C multiplied by C will give us C squared. Let's move. We want to multiply 5 and C together. We first of all multiply the signs in front of them. Plus times minus will give us what? Minus. C multiplied by 5 will give us what? 5C. We are through with the first bracket. Now let's move to the second part. We have minus in front of 2 and we have plus in front of C. If you multiply the signs together, it will give you what? Minus. 2 multiplied by C will give you what? 2C. We are multiplying 2 and 5 now. We have minus minus. Minus times minus will give us what? Plus. 2 multiplied by 5 will give us what? 10. So now we now have minus 5C minus 7C. Now to get this, I've told you before, earlier on, I said whenever you have a number that has a negative in front of it, we always assume that it is a debt. Now, I'm owing somebody 5C, let's say C represents carrot. I'm owing somebody 5 carrots. I'm owing another person 2 carrots. How many carrots am I owing altogether? That means I'm going to give out 7 carrots. So this will give me C squared plus minus is a debt minus 7C plus 10. C squared minus 7C plus 10. So now you now have C minus 2, C minus 5. Now for the shorter method, which is the direct. The first one here, we multiply the first one here. The second one, we also go and multiply the second one. Now, if we picked the first one and the first one, the second one and the second one. Now we are going to now pick the first one and the second from the second bracket. We'll now pick the second and the first from the second bracket. So now that means this C will go and make 5. And these two will come here to meet what? C. Now, remember the things I told you. One thing about this expansion is once your sign is wrong, once you make mistake in your sign, the whole answer is wrong. So now, let's fix our invisible sign, which is what? Plus. Now, let's pick this curve. Plus times plus, plus c times c square. Here we have minus times minus, plus 2 times 5, 10. This curve now, we have plus times this minus, minus c times 5, 5c. You have minus times this plus, minus. You have 2 times c, 2c. So now we can now bring them together and rearrange. We have plus c squared plus 10 minus 5c minus 2c. Minus 5c minus 2c will give us what? Minus 7c. So this will give us plus c squared plus 10 minus 7c, which can also be written as c squared minus 7c plus 10. So now we are moving to example 2. We have x plus 7 raised to power what? 2. When you say this power 2, what does it mean? It means that everything inside that bracket is appearing how many words? 2 times. It is appearing how many times? 2 times. Assuming it's power 3, it will appear how many times? 3 times. If it is power 4, it will appear how many times? 4 times. So now, but we are having what? Power 2. So that means it is appearing 2 times. So this can be written as x plus 7, x plus 7. We have broken it down into 2 brackets. So from here, we fix our signs. Don't forget, invisible signs plus, plus. Then we pick the first character to multiply the whole of the second. Then we pick the second one to multiply the whole of the second bracket. So we have plus x, x plus 7. We take the plus 7. We now have plus x plus 7. Now, let's multiply. Remember, I told you, you multiply your signs first before you multiply the letters. Plus times plus, plus. We are multiplying x and x will give us x squared. Plus times plus, plus. X times 7, 7x. We move to the second, we are through with the first bracket. Plus times plus, plus 7 times x, we have what? 7x. Plus times plus, plus 7 times 7 is what? 49. We now have plus x squared, 7x plus 7x. That is the same thing as 7 plus 7, which will give us what? 14 plus 14x plus 49. And this will give us x squared plus 14x plus 49. So now we are moving to the example 3. Example 3, we have 10 plus x multiplied by 10 minus x. Now, I've told you the first thing is fix your invisible sign. Plus, plus. Do we get it? So now, let's pick. We now have plus 10, bracket open, plus 10 minus x. Pick the second one, plus x, bracket open, plus 10 minus x. Now, let's multiply. Plus times plus will give us plus. 10 times 10, 100. Plus times minus, minus. 10 times x, 10x. Plus times plus, plus. 10 times x, 10x. Plus times minus, minus. X times x, we now have what? X squared. From here, you now have 10x minus, plus, you have minus 10x plus 10x. That means you are owing somebody 10 naira and you have the 10 naira. If you pay off the money back, what are you left with? You are left with what? Nothing. So that means this will give, the whole of this will give us what? 0. So we are left with plus 100. This will give us plus 0 minus what? X squared. 100 plus 0 will give you what? 100 minus x squared. So this will give you 100 minus x squared. We are now moving now to coefficient of 10. When we say coefficient, we always tell you when we talk about coefficient, we are talking about numbers attached to a particular unknown. Numbers attached to a particular unknown. For example, if you have plus 3x and we have to, what is the coefficient of x here? What number is attached to it? 3. So we now say the coefficient is plus 3. If you have minus 5y. Here, what will be the coefficient of y here? It's going to be what? Minus 5. Please always attach the sign in front of that number. There are times they might give you 3z and tell you what's the coefficient of 3z. Invisible sign is what? Plus. Fix your sign. Plus. So we now have the coefficient of z here is what? Plus 3. And at times they might give you to expand. You might ask to expand the x plus 5, x minus 2. And we are asked to look for the coefficient of what? X. So the first thing you have to do here is you have to first of all expand, get your final answer before you can now give the coefficient of x. So let's do that. We have plus, plus. We have plus x multiplying plus x minus 2. Then we now have plus 5 multiplying plus x minus 2. Plus times plus x times x squared. Plus times minus 2x plus 5x minus 10. Here you now have what? This is minus 2x plus 5x. Minus 2 is a debt. Plus is what you have. If you pay off the minus 2, you are left with what? Plus 3. So this now gives you x squared plus 3x minus 10. So now if they now ask you what is the coefficient of x here, we can now say the coefficient of x in that expansion is plus 3. Coefficient of x there is plus 3. Okay, now we are moving to factorization of quadratic expression, which is our main topic. The first we started with expansion, we now did what? Coefficients. Those are the things we need for this what? Factorization. So those ones have that revision. So now we are moving to the main factorization. When we talk about quadratic expression, what do we say quadratic expression is? It is the one which has the highest power of unknown to be what? 2. That means we have ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. The power of the unknown here is what? 2. That is why we now have this to be what? A quadratic what? Equation. This c represents what? A constant. So now let's pick an example to solve. It says factorize 6y squared plus 9y right, plus 9y plus 8. Now we have to factorize 9 squared plus 9y plus what? 8. The first thing we need to do here is pick the coefficient of the unknown that has the power to be 2. What is the coefficient here? This is y. This is the same thing as what? Plus 1y. So y squared can also be written as what? Plus 1y. So the coefficient here is what? Plus 1. We pick the constant here, which is what? 8. If you multiply it together, it will give us what? 8. Now, we need to look for the factors of 8. That when we have it together, the sum must give us what? 9. The sum must give us what? 9. That is the number we have in this middle. Now you need to consider the sign also. This is what? Plus 9. So how are we going to arrange this 8 to give how are we going to arrange the factors of 8 to give us plus 9? Factors of 8 we have 1 times 8, we have 2 times 4, and we have 4 times 2. So now this will give us 1 times 8, this will give us 2 times 4 to give us 8, and this is 4 times 2 to give us what? 8. But if you add the sum, if you add the sum, 1 plus 1 plus 8 will give us what? Plus 9. Here if you have plus 2 plus 4 will give us plus 6. Here you have plus 4 plus 2 will give you what? Plus 6. It can also be written with minus 1 plus 8. This will give us what? Plus 7. It could be minus 1 minus 8, and that will give you minus 9. But what we actually needed was minus 1 plus 8 to give us what? Plus 9. So we already know the sum that will give us what? Plus 9. So what we just do is we come back. Our sum there is going to be what? Plus 1x plus 1y plus 8y. So now we are going to replace this plus 9 with the sum. We will replace this plus 9 with what? The sum. So this will give you plus y squared plus y plus 8y plus 8. Now I have replaced, if you add this together to give you plus 1y plus 8y, which is the same thing as what? Plus 9y. Then I can now put them in bracket. Let's pick the first two and put them in bracket. We have plus y squared plus y. Put your sign here plus. You have 8y. Plus times this plus will give you what? Plus. So we still put 8. So now we look for what is common to both of them. What can you find in y square and you can also find in y? That is what? Y. So you have bring out your y. If you bring out your y, if you divide this by y, it will give you y. Plus. If you divide this by y, it will give you what? 1. So what is common between both of them? 8. If you divide this by 8, it will give you what? Y. If you divide this by 8, it will give you what? 1. One thing you must notice is that the first bracket you arrive here and the second bracket you arrive here must be the same. The first bracket here and the second bracket must be the same. If the bracket is different, that means there is an error somewhere. So you need to go back. So now what do we do from here? We pick one of the brackets since they are the same, y plus 1. Then we pick the numbers attached to the bracket, which is y plus 8. So we now have y plus 1, y plus 8. That is the factorization of this quadratic expression. So now we are moving to example 2. Example, if you observe in the first example, the number in the middle, the sign in front was plus. The last number to the sign was plus. Now I want to have, we are having where we have minus and two different signs. That is minus and plus. Minus and plus. The first one was the same sign. Now this is what? Different signs. So now, the first thing we have told you, let's pick b squared minus 5b plus 6. What's the coefficient of b squared here? Plus 1. What's the coefficient? The constant here is what? 6. If you multiply, what do you have? 1 times 6 will give us what? 6. We need to look for the factors of 6 that must give us what? Minus 5. We have 1 times 6 and we have 2 times 3. 1 times 6, we can have, this can be the sum. For the sum, we are going to have, we can have it as minus 6 plus 1. Minus 6 plus 1. Minus 6 plus 1 will give us minus 5. Minus 6 plus 1 will give us minus 5. We can also have minus 2 plus minus 3. Minus 2 plus minus 3 will also give us what? Minus 5. So now it now depends on the one we are going to fix in. Anyone we fix in, let's say as long as we have the same bracket. So we have minus 6 plus 1. We have minus 2 plus, we have minus 2 and minus 3. So now let's pick minus 2 and minus 3. Let's pick minus 2 and minus 3. So we now have, we have b squared. Instead of putting minus 5b, I've told you we put minus 2b minus 3b plus 6. So now let's put the first one in the bracket. We have b squared minus 2b. That's our first bracket. Bring our sign here, minus 3b. Please, whenever you are putting this number in the bracket, the second number in the bracket, always notice that when you have a negative sign outside, the sign that is coming inside the bracket will change. So this will change from plus 6 to what? Minus 6. Because by the time you open the bracket, so you can have what is up here. Minus times minus will give us what? Plus. But assuming we put plus here, we are having minus sign. It has changed what we have up here. So please, when you have a negative sign outside the bracket and you want to put the second number inside the bracket, always have it at the back of your mind that if the sign outside the bracket is negative, it will always change the sign before you put it inside the bracket. So from here, what is common to both of them? B. B, if you divide this by B, you have B minus, this will give you 2. What is common to these two? 3 can go in 3B, 3 can also go in 6. So we have minus 3. If you divide this by, you are going to have B. Divide this by 3, you are going to have minus 2. So we now have, the bracket is the same, isn't it? We now have B minus 2. Then we pick the numbers attached to the bracket. B minus 3. B minus 2. B minus 3. So now we are moving to perfect squares. So when we talk about perfect squares, we're having A plus B raised to power 2. That means this bracket is appearing how many times? A is appearing how many times? 2 times. A plus B, A plus B. I told you, the first thing is for you to fix your what? Invisible sign. Plus, plus. Now, let's expand. Let's expand. So we now have, let's pick this one and this. Plus times minus, you are going to have plus. A times B, you have AB. Let's pick the second one. Plus times plus, plus. A times B, you have AB. Then this one, you now have plus times plus, plus A times A will give you A square. Plus times plus, you have plus B times B will give you B square. So let's rearrange now. You have plus A square plus B square plus AB plus AB. We now have plus A square plus AB will give us plus 2AB. Then our plus B square. So now if we have a question that gives you A plus B square, our final answer should be A in form of A square plus 2AB plus what? B square. Now we can also have A minus B all square. This is appearing how many times? Twice. A minus B, A minus B. So let's pick first this to the second one, this to the first one. Fix your signs, your invisible sign to be what? Plus. So let's pick. I'm putting my arrow now to indicate the first ones I'm picking. What are the signs in front of them? Plus and minus, we have what? Minus. A times B will give me what? AB. I want to pick the second one, minus. I'm picking the B and A. Minus times this will give me what? Minus. A times B will give me what? AB. I want to pick this arrow. Oh yeah, this arrow. So I have plus times plus, that will be plus. A times A square. Then the next one, minus times minus, we now have what? Plus B times B square. So this will give me in terms of A square plus B square minus AB minus AB. Minus AB minus AB, I've told you, they are debts. You are owing, you are owing. Minus 1. That will give us what? Minus 2. So we have plus A square plus B square minus 2AB. So this can also be written as plus A square minus 2AB plus B square. It can be written as minus A square minus 2AB plus what? B square. So let's have an example asking us to use this method. So now we have to write down the expansion of this plus A plus 4 all raised to power what? 2. Now you will tell them, recall that A plus B all raised to power 2 is the same thing as A square plus 2AB plus what? B square. Now, if you compare this and this together, our A is still what? A. But here our B is what? B is equals to what? 4. When we compare the same together. So now anywhere we see A, we still put our A, but anywhere we see B, we are to replace our b with what? 4. We can now say a plus 4 all square will give us a square plus 2 times what? A times what? B. Our b is what? 4. Plus b square is what? That will be 4 square. So we now have a square plus 8a plus 16. So using this method is shorter than the expansion method that we are used to. Now you can be given that you should expand 104 all raised to power what? 2. This 104 can be written as what? I can break it into 2. This same thing as 100 plus what? 4. That will be 100 plus 4 all raised to power what? 2. In this case, if I recall a plus b all square is equals to a square plus 2ab plus what? B square. That means in this case, if I compare the two together, my a will be equals to what? 100. My b will be equals to what? 4. That means anywhere I see a, I will put what? Anywhere I see a, I will replace with 100. Anywhere I see b, I will replace with 4. So I can now have 104 all square will now give me, anywhere I see a, I will replace, which is the same thing as 100 plus 4 all square. Anywhere I see a, it is 100. That is 100 square plus 2 into 100 times 4, which is AB plus 4 square. 100 square is what? That is 10,000. 2 times 100, 200 times 4, that is what? 800 plus what? 16. 10,000 plus 800 will give me 10,800 plus 16, that will be 10816. So with this, it makes it easier and faster for me. And most especially, we use this kind of method when we come across these questions in OBJ so that we don't waste much time on the question. So now, if you observe the example we've been doing since morning, it has been positive, positive, positive. So now I want us to try that on what? Negative. So that when you come across the negative sign, you don't have problem. So now we tell them, as usual, recall, isn't it? A minus B all raised to power 2 will give us a square minus 2ab plus b square. The difference between this negative and the positive is just that the letters in the middle is carrying a negative sign. Assuming it is plus here, that means the sign here will be what? Plus. So now we now have u, our a here. Now comparing this and this together, we have our a to be what? U, and our b to be what? 2v. So that means anywhere we see a, instead of writing A, we are going to be writing U. Anywhere we see B, instead of writing B, we are going to be putting what? 2V, because the actual question they ask us to solve is what? U minus 2V, and not what? A minus B. So we now have U minus 2V will give us, what is our A, which is U square minus 2. You open your bracket because we are going to multiply, times what is our A, U, times what is our B, 2V plus 2v all raised to power 2. So we now have u squared 2 times u, 2u times 2v. We now have minus 4uv plus 2. This raised to power 2 means 2 times, it's the same thing as 2v times 2v. That will give you 2 times 2, 4. V times v, v squared. So this will give us our answer. So for the second example, for the third example, you can have 100. They are asked to look for 96 square. This 96 square, I can write it as 100 minus 4 all raised to power 2. 100 minus 4 is still the same thing as what? 96. So I can tell them, recall, isn't it? That's what? A minus B will give me what? A square minus 2ab plus what? B square. So in this case, if I compare this one now with this, my A is the same thing as what? 100. My B is the same thing as what? 4. In that case, I now have, so I'm going to have 96 squared, which is the same thing as 100 minus 4 all square. Will now give me, I've asked them to recall, A square. What is my A here? 100. That is 100 square minus 2 times 100 times 4 plus, what's my B square? 4 square. So here I now have, this is what? 10,000, isn't it? 2 times 4, 8, times 100 is what? 800 plus what? 16. If I take 800 away from 10,000, what do I have? I'm going to have 90. I'm going to have 9,200. So that will give me 9,200 plus 16. And that will give me 9,216. 10,000 minus 800 will give me 9,200 plus what? 16. And that will give me the whole of 9,216. So now we are moving to difference of two squares. Difference of two squares. If you look at it, a square minus b square. If you subtract the two from each other, it must give you addition of the two multiplied by the difference of what? The two. Now, if you use your normal expansion method, by the time you expand these two brackets, it will give you this. Let's use our shortcut method. This will multiply this, we now have what? A square, isn't it? This will multiply this, plus times minus will give us what? Minus, you have what? B square, isn't it? So now, we take this now to multiply the second one. What is the sign? Plus and minus, that will be minus AB. We take this one to multiply the first one, this will give us what? We take the second one, oh yeah, plus what? AB. Plus AB minus AB, that will give you what? 0. So if these will cross out each other, we are now left with what? A squared minus B squared. So invariably, we now have A squared minus B squared will always give you A plus B, A minus B. So example, we have example, it says that we should, example, factorize the following. Factorize y square minus 4. If you look at it, y square minus 4. If you look at it, 4 is a perfect square, isn't it? So that means I can rewrite this as y square minus 2 raised to power 2. Do you see it? Y square minus 2 raised to power 2. So I can now say, recall that a square minus b square will give us a plus b, a minus b. So if I compare this a square minus b square with this, that means my a is y and my b is what? 2. So I can now say y minus 2, y square minus 2 square will now give me what? Anywhere I see a, I will put what? Y. That will give me y. Anywhere I see b, I will put what? 2. Y plus 2, y minus 2. That's the answer. Do we get it from here? So now, let's pick another example. Example 2. Example 2. So we can have example 2. You have 4g square minus 4. 4 is the perfect square. G squared is a perfect square. So this can be written as 2g all raised to power 2 minus 2 raised to power 2. Do we get it? 4 is a perfect square. G also is a perfect square. So I will now, that will be 2G all this part. If you open this bracket, that is 2G times 2G. 2 times 2, 4. G times G, G square. So we now have this. So I can now tell them, recall that A square minus B square will give me A plus B, A minus B. In this case now, if I compare this and this together, if I compare this and this, I now have my A is what? 2G. My B is what? 2. So I can now have 2G all raised to power 2 minus 2 square will give me, what is my A? My A is what? 2G plus, what is my B? 2, 2G minus 2. So that will be the answer. Let's solve the last example that has to do with numbers. Example 3, we have factorized 96 square minus 4 square. So now, difference of 2 square. So this is 96 square minus 4 square. It's already having the square, isn't it? So I'll just tell them, recall. A square minus B square will give me A plus B, A minus B. So A plus B, A minus B. We now have, I'm going to